protest. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Today, we spend the hour with one of the most famous independent filmmakers in the world, Michael Moore. For more than 2 decades, Michael's been one of the most politically active, provocative, and successful documentary filmmakers in the business. His films include Roger and Me, Bowling for Columbine, for which he won the Academy Award, Fahrenheit 9/11, Sicko, and Capitalism: A Love Story. Today, we speak with Michael Moore about his new book. It just came out. It's called Here Comes Trouble: Stories from My Life. It comprises 20 vignettes from his life that illustrate how his political and sociological viewpoints developed. As far back as 20 years ago, when Michael Moore made his award-winning debut documentary, Roger and Me, he knew he was anything but an average child.
I was kind of a strange child. My parents knew early on that something must have been wrong with me. I crawled backwards until I was 2, but had Kennedy's inaugural address memorized by the time I was 6. It all began when my mother didn't show up for my first birthday party because she was off having my sister. My dad tried to cheer me up by letting me eat the whole cake. I knew then there had to be more to life than this.
That was Michael Moore in his award-winning 1989 documentary, Roger and Me. Well, today he's one of the world's most acclaimed and notorious independent filmmakers and rabble-rousers. On Monday night, Michael visited the Occupy Wall Street protest in Lower Manhattan. Police have barred the protesters from using any form of public address system at the encampment, so the crowd amplified Michael's comments by repeating them in unison.
Whatever you do, don't despair, because this is the hard part. You're in the hard part right now. Whatever you do, don't despair, because this is the hard part. You're in the hard part right now. But everyone will remember. 3 months from now. 3 months from now. 6 months from now. 6 months from now. 100 years from now. 100 years from now. That you came down to this plaza. That you came down to this plaza. And you started this movement.
That was Michael Moore addressing the Occupy Wall Street protesters in Lower Manhattan. Well, for the remainder of the hour, we're delighted to have him right here in studio. And we won't be repeating everything you say, Michael, although it's an ingenious system when you're not allowed to use a microphone.
Yeah, it's a little weird at first because it sounds like either you're reciting the rosary in church or that scene in Life of Brian where the whole crowd just repeats everything that Brian says. But the reason they do it is because the police have not allowed them to have any amplification. So in order for the people to hear in the back, everyone around you just shouts out what you just said so everybody can hear it. I thought it was actually kind of an interesting and workable idea.
Well, we've put out to the world that you were coming in today, and of course the questions came in on Facebook. We tweeted this, and people can tweet back right now. But when we posted the question on Facebook, what do you want to ask Michael Moore? Tausif Khan wrote, "What do you think is the next step the protesters need to take to get Washington and Wall Street to listen and to make real change?"
They don't need to worry about a next step. It's already happening. This is something that has sort of sprung up. There's no group, organized group. There's no dues-paying, members-only organization behind this. Excuse me. This is literally an uprising of people who've had it. And it has already started to spread across the country in other cities. It will continue to spread. It has to start somewhere. It started here with a few hundred. It will grow, and really already has grown here, to a few thousand, and will be tens of thousands and then hundreds of thousands of people. Because what I was telling them the other night is the great thing about what they're doing, and the great in the sense that their work ahead is not as difficult as other movements in the past. When the women's liberation movement began, when people began protesting against the Vietnam War, the Civil Rights Movement, at the beginning of those movements, the majority of the country was not with them, did not believe in the basic principles of any of those philosophies. That's not true right now. The majority of Americans are really upset at Wall Street. The millions of Americans have lost their homes or are facing foreclosure right now. 50 million do not have health insurance. 14 million officially are unemployed, and it's probably well up into the 20 million plus people that are actually unemployed. So you've already got an army of Americans who are just waiting for somebody to do something, and the something has started.
And it is so interesting. If you had 2,000 people as the first weekend, whatever, 12 days ago, 2,000 Tea Party activists down on Wall Street, you probably have double the number of reporters there.
Oh, my God.
But at the beginning of this, very little coverage. This is day 12. And I wanted to talk about what happened this past weekend. The New York Police Department's handling of the arrests of 80 protesters over the weekend. That's come under fire as a number of videos have emerged showing officers using heavy-handed tactics, to say the least. Protesters captured some of the attacks on video, including the arrest of a 21-year-old Bronx resident named Iro Vincent. He was trying to calm the crowd and organize people to leave. This is a clip from after he was released from jail.
That's when the police just charged at me with his fist and just started, swinging at me. And another policeman pushed me, and I'm backing up. And as I'm backing up, I hit the barricade, and then I look at them, they come at me. I go over, and then 4 policemen just started, beating on me, yelling at me, stop resisting arrest, while I'm just laying there. I'm not fighting back. They kicked me in my stomach, knocked the breath out of me, hit me with their baton. They put their knees into my face, not in my head, into my face, into the ground, and just laughing.
While other demonstrators were charged with blocking traffic and resisting arrest, Vincent faces the most serious charge of assaulting a police officer. The NYPD says they acted appropriately, but Vincent says he's confident the videos of the attack will exonerate him and has vowed to continue participating in the Occupy Wall Street protest.
If there's anything called the epitome of a struggle, me and my family lived it. We were foreclosed on. My father had trouble finding a job, still hasn't found one. I had trouble finding a job, still haven't found one. My sister's in college, her tuition's doubling. They're trying to fight for her financial aid. We struggle with food. I've even slept on the bench a few nights before this occasion, So, yeah, I mean, I'm here for everybody in my family, not just myself, and everybody who goes through the same struggles that I can empathize with.
Michael, your comments on Iro Vincent and all that are down there.
Well, it's highly ironic that now over 100 of the protesters have been arrested, and not a single banker, CEO from Wall Street, anyone from corporate America, nobody, not one arrest of any of these people who brought down the economy in 2008, who created schemes, financial schemes that not only destroyed the economy, but took away the future of this generation, of this young man and his children in the future. They have completely ruined it for people, while they have become filthy rich at the same time. Not one of them arrested, but 100 of these people who have stood up nonviolently against this madness, and they're arrested. This just boggles the mind. And I want to say something too, because I mean, Amy, you've lived here in this area, in the city, probably most of your life. I've been here for many years. By and large, the New York City cops are actually pretty good as police forces go. I can tell you from filming around the country. I think
it depends where we live.
Well, this is what I was going to say. Yes, that what's rough here is that when you have the bad apples, they are really bad here, and it's not just 1 or 2. I think it's very important to also, when you look at this videotape and the other videotape that was shot that day, of the people, especially the one individual who was pepper spraying the women right in their eyes. When they were standing there doing nothing. Those were the white-shirted management types. They were not just the the street officers. These were the guys that were supposed to be in charge of them. They were the ones going up there. So you know, it's one thing if you've got a rogue cop that's behaving violently, but when you have management, when you have the white shirts there of the NYPD doing this, that's not rogue. That's policy. That's coming from somewhere else. That they've been told by those in charge to corral this thing, end this thing, stop this thing, and it was just somebody should inform them that everybody is a filmmaker now. Everybody has a camera, and you cannot just treat people like this and get away with it. And I hope they don't get away with it.
We're talking to Michael Moore. When we come back, we've got an interesting Twitter question that has to do with comparing protests here to, well, what was happening around GM a while ago. Michael Moore is our guest for the hour. He has a new book. It is called Here Comes Trouble, Stories from My Life. Stay with us.